And what we do in this part of the show each night is take a look at a case that hasn't been solved. And it's sometimes investigators might need some help, and obviously the victim and their family, they need your help because they need that sense of justice. They need the answers to what happened. And tonight's story takes us to Ohio. A young mom named Wendy Burkey was shot and killed. And the circumstances surrounding this, it just does not seem random. Doesn't seem like it was a robbery or anything like this. It seems like someone was out to kill her. And here we are many years later, and it's still not solved.
Time is a funny thing. It can be kind, it can be cruel. Memorial Day weekend 2001. It wasn't supposed to be Wendy Burkey's time.
It wasn't Wendy's time that God didn't take her. Man took her. But God accepted her.
Barbara Bohoric is a woman of faith. It is where she finds comfort after the senseless murder of her eldest daughter. Wendy Burkey was just 32 years old when she was found dead in her work van, parked inside a fenced area on Yorkshire Court in Elyria. 2 bullets took her life.
The first shot didn't kill Wendy, the second shot did. So somebody meant to kill her.
Time hasn't taken down that chain link fence. It is the same one that family and friends gathered at, praying for answers.
You know, I'll miss her still when we do find out what happened to her and who did it. But that's something we all need to know. We need to know what happened to her.
Answers that have never come.
Maybe he brought you into my life for a reason. And maybe it is time to find out who took her.
Because whoever took her took a mother from her 3 little girls. 3 little girls, ages 5, 3, and 1, at the time of Wendy's murder.
Her reason for living was her kids. You know, so it's just sad that she was taken away from them so young. You know, because it was tough for them growing up.
The murder investigation seems to be at a standstill.
No fingerprints, no nothing. You know, no gun.
The case sat cold at the Elyria Police Department for years until we came calling.
We're reopening the investigation. We're taking a look at it with a fresh set of eyes.
It means old evidence is being submitted. New statements will be taken.
Although we have evidence that was processed years ago, we can always find new evidence.
No one working on the case now worked on it when Wendy was killed.
Time can be on our side.
Barbara Bohoric has the same theories now that she had years ago.
Who would want to kill her?
Somebody that was close to her did it. That knew her routine, knew she was alone that night.
Wendy was a crew chief for Elyria Maintenance, a cleaning company. She always worked with a partner until that night.
But that night, they pulled him away from her shift and put him on another crew, which left her by herself.
It is a coincidence that's always struck Barbara, and there are a few of those in this case.
Her first check for child support would have been the next day.
The day after she died?
Mm-hmm. That's when she would have got her first check.
Wendy's life at that time was tumultuous. She was in the middle of getting a divorce from her second husband. She had also had disagreements at work. For 17 years, Barbara locked away the questions for fear of what answers may bring. Her priest telling her maybe that was the best way.
He said, maybe God doesn't want you to know because it might hurt you more because it could be somebody you see every day.
It is time that has given Barbara her strength. Time now to learn the name of her daughter's killer.
But maybe after I know who it is and why, maybe my faith will be stronger and I could say, I forgive you.
The gun used to kill Wendy was a .45 caliber. Back in 2001, it was widely thought that the killer was a man. Now, since reopening the case just a couple months ago, police tell us they believe that the killer could be a male or a female? While we wait to hear back on DNA test results, detectives in Elyria are waiting for that one phone call that will give Wendy's mom, her siblings, and her 3 daughters the peace that they need.
All right, folks, if you have information, you can call 440-326-1212. 440-326-1212. Whatever that information is. It could be something you think is insignificant, but could make the difference for investigators and, more importantly, the difference for Wendy's family. Now, these stories that we cover here in our Unsolved Case File, it's not one time we do it and then we move on to, no, we revisit these stories and we revisit them again and again to try to get answers, to try to get a solution and some sense of justice. Now, the last time we did this story, we had Wendy's family on with an investigator, and take a look at what happened.
I guess that's what we want. We want the line of communication to be opened back up with the detectives. And, you know, I know it's been 20 years, but re-interview some people, re-interview us. Maybe we have, you know what I mean? Maybe there's people that, you know, that know something that they didn't remember at the time.
But then no one's even came to me in 20 years, except for when the news lady actually came to me and asked me to do an interview with her. And it was I think 2 years ago, maybe 3. And that was the first time I had heard anything for, you know, then 17 years.
Yeah, so I think we just need to get with the detective and sit down and have a conversation.
And Detective, I'll give you the final word on that. No, just to give you an opportunity, if you want to speak to Barbara and Amanda.
Yeah, I can't imagine the frustration, and especially with the amount of time that's passed. And when this case was assigned to me a couple of years ago, it was a chance to look at it with a fresh set of eyes, and not to be influenced by the past, not to be influenced by the former investigators. I literally just had to go off their notes, and that was kind of my preference, was to go off their notes and to develop, go off the evidence and notes so I could develop the case and speak to people again, watching old interviews, and see what was missed and what's direction could we take from there.
Yeah. Well, we would love to sit and talk with you.
Absolutely.
Soon.
Absolutely.
And joining us now is Wendy Burkey's mom, Barbara Bohoric, is back with us by phone. Barbara, thanks again for joining us. That happened last time. Have those lines of communication opened up?
No.
No?
I still have not heard anything from the detective.
I could understand your disappointment and frustration with that, having not heard anything in 20 years. Have you considered reaching out to them?
That's what my daughter Amanda said, that we need to reach out. I did consider that. I actually told my son that on the 20th is coming up, that we need to go down there to the police station and see if he'll talk to us.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think that could be helpful. I think that could be helpful. And obviously you know a lot about what was happening back then. I mean, this is your daughter. You knew her life. You knew the issues, you knew the people and everything else going on. So I hope that they will sit down and speak with you again and get a fresh set of ears on this as well. Not just eyes, but ears, and listen to what you have to say and can offer.
Right, because I had just seen her like 12 hours before that, because I was watching her girls for her while she was at work the night before.
And what did she say? Was there anything that she said to you that was
Nothing.
out of the ordinary?
She just came to pick up the girls, and she goes, I have an interview for Savannah to go to a Catholic school on Monday, and she asked me to watch the 2 little ones for her. So then that never happened.
Now, in the piece that our affiliate WEWS did, you mentioned a couple different things that were going on. The people at work. She's supposed to be with someone. On that particular night, she's not with someone. Have you ever spoken to her former coworkers?
I only spoke to one girl. Her name was Ruth. She was a really good friend of Wendy's. She never worked with Wendy's. They were both crew chiefs at the same place. But I think my son knows the guy's name that she was supposed to work with that night.
And what did he say? Did he have anything to say about what was going on at work, or why,
No, all he said,
why he wasn't with her?
I don't remember him telling me too much that they just pulled him away on another shift.
And when you say they, she's the crew chief, right? So who would?
Yeah, she's the crew chief, but she still had people above her that they needed help on other shifts. They'd have to pull it for the person from her. I guess she maybe had a light night that night, and so they figured that maybe she didn't need the help.
It's, looking at the situation, she's always with someone. This is the one time she isn't, and this happens.
Right.
I don't believe in coincidences, Barbara. My guess is you don't either.
No, I don't.
Now,
No, something was planned. It just can't happen that way. She worked for this company for years.
and
So
you said there may have been some issues going on at work. What type of issues?
I don't really know of any issues. Now Ruth said that they were having trouble getting people to work with other people, and maybe another crew chief or something about that. But I really don't know personally any issues in that area.
And then the other part of her life was it was an impending divorce, and there were some issues about child support that needed to be resolved or had been resolved, and she was about to get her first
payment. Yeah, it had been resolved, and he was fighting it anyhow. But she would have had her child support for Savannah because she was going back to school to be a nurse, school teacher, and she was going to have to not cut back on her work schedule to go to school.
And
I actually got a letter from the college a couple of days after she passed that she was accepted into the teaching program at LCC.
wow.
So that was kind of sad.
Absolutely. So the children's father, do you have a relationship with him now? I mean, you're grandma, so is there an ongoing relationship at all or not at all?
Not at all, no. The girls are older now. They all are, they have children of their own, so they're off on their own. The one I see a lot is Savannah. The other girls don't live as close to me as Savannah does. But yeah, I don't have anything. I think her first husband's in Hawaii with his third wife or something like that. I'm not sure. But her second husband, Bill, is living with his mom because I guess he had a stroke a few years ago. So.
And at the time, that's an obvious place, right? Investigators have to talk to anyone who was sort of in her circle.
I thought they had talked to that whole circle. I remember that at the time I was told that they had a suspect, but they didn't have enough evidence to prove he was guilty without a shadow of a doubt. And once they charged him with something and he was found innocent, they couldn't charge him again. So they were looking for more evidence. And that's the last I was ever told.
But they would not reveal that name to you?
No.
Now, without revealing a name, do you have a particular person in mind that you believe is responsible?
Oh, yeah. I think the whole family has a person that is responsible. I think we pretty well know. We could be wrong, but I don't know. I think we're pretty...
Everyone's on the same page as to who this person is?
Yep. Yes, we are. Yeah, we're all on the same page.
And do you know if this person was interviewed by police?
Yes. Yes, they were.
So My guess here, and I'm a former prosecutor, Barbara, so I understand when investigators want to make sure they have enough evidence, because you've got to give enough evidence to the DA so they, when they go to trial, have enough to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not easy to do, especially in a case like this. But then there's always, you get to some point where, all right, you have some evidence, no new evidence is coming down the pike anytime soon, and sometimes maybe you put a little pressure on them. And that's why, Barbara, I would say to you as a victim that let your voice be heard. Let them know that Wendy's not been forgotten. Let them know that the family has still not received a sense of justice, and there's a killer that is walking around free somewhere tonight, and you'd like to make sure that they know. I mean, at this point, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary, aren't we?
Yes, the 26th of May.
Wow. Well, Barbara, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said last time, we'll continue to cover this story. And from what you're telling me, it seems like there is someone who everyone kind of has an eye on, says this is probably the person. We believe this is the person. Do we have that one piece of evidence that could do it? And that's why we posted on social media as well. We put the phone number. We keep the phone number up because sometimes people talk to someone. And if someone says something, they just have to be willing to come forward at this point. Barbara Bohoric, thank you so much.
I thank you, and I appreciate all the help you're doing.
All right.